Hi, my name is Connie Ratti, and I'm a certified therapeutic recreational specialist, and I've worked for 22 years as an activity director in nursing homes. This film today is to help you understand how adaptive equipment can change people's lives. The hardest thing about anybody who has experienced a loss in their abilities of hands or eyes or vision is that they think they can't do things anymore. And what happens is they lower their self-esteem and they get very resistive. As activity directors and people who are in that situation and if they want to learn, this is what you have to overcome. You have to overcome the fact that your body can do the same things it did before, but they're going to do them differently. And the only thing that's going to limit you is the creativity of how you use your body. Every single thing that I'm going to show you today, you can find either in your kitchen or your garage. We're just going to take the same equipment that you normally use. We're going to adapt it so that you can still do all the things that you wanted to do, or that you should be doing for your family or for yourself. Because one thing that we don't want to have happen to you is what's called learned helplessness, where you just give up and you don't try. Because as I said a few minutes ago, you still can do all the things you used to do. It's just that you're going to do them a little differently. So what I'd like to start out and show you first is how to cut an apple. Now, this is a piece of board that was in my garage, and I'm sure my husband's been looking for it for the last 22 years because it's been in my office. And what I did is I took this little board, I took a nail, it's just a regular nail, I hammered it into here, and I made it into a cutting board for somebody with only one hand. The next thing that we have to do to make this work is that we have to C-clamp it or Velcro it to a surface so it doesn't move. Because many people who have had strokes either have limited ability to use their hand or they can't use their hand at all. So what we're going to use is the C-clamp to attach this to the table with our board so it doesn't move on you. Okay, it's secured to the surface so it doesn't move now. You're going to take your apple and right over the nail here, we're going to put the apple on. Now, since you only have one hand, what we're going to do is take our knife and we're going to cut it. So you can cut it in several different sizes, or the other thing that you can do is you can take your apple. And now if you want to peel it, you can easily start to peel the surface. Until you have it all peeled. And nobody had to help you. You did it yourself. That's the important thing. Another thing that you can do with your cutting board is take an orange. You want to peel this. You don't want anybody to help you. Again, we're going to push it down. Now I can either use the knife or I can do it with I better use the knife. And now you can start to peel it. There we go. We got a good start there. Again, you didn't need any help. You had to do it yourself. I want to reassure the activity directors what you need to do is look at what your residents want to do, go into your kitchen or your garage, look for the materials, figure out how you can do it, and practice it yourself by doing it with one hand. This one's sliding around on me a little bit, but by using my hand with only one hand, they can successfully start to prepare some of their own meals using their new cooking board. The next skill that we're going to work on for our fine motor skill is more cooking projects. Because you're in the kitchen a lot, you're going to be eating 3 times a day, and so you want to know how to do this independently. So as activity directors, again, I want you to think it through about what your resident is going to need to be successful. So the first thing that we have to really watch is with one hand, or if I'm stirring this and I don't have another hand to hold this bowl is going to go all over the place. So there's a couple ways that we can solve that problem. The first one is get a strip of just your ordinary rubber mat that holds carpeting in place. You have them in your kitchen, you have them in your bathroom, and what you want to do is put it down here. And actually, when you have your dinners, you might just want to go ahead and purchase some of these so that you can use them for having your dinner so your plate doesn't slide over. By doing that, when you put your bowl down, it doesn't move. But when you're getting really rough with stirring, sometimes this isn't quite enough. So what you want to do, or you can do, is, excuse me for just a minute while I get some equipment that we need here. We're going to take some Velcro strips. We're going to cut them. Now this is double sticking Velcro strips. You don't need big pieces because big pieces are really hard to pull off. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is when you pick this up and pull it back, leave a little bit of the tape on there. We're going to attach this to the bottom of the bowl. Leave that little piece of tape there so it'll be easy for you to pull it off. Then we're going to attach part of the tape, the second side of the tape, to the table. Okay, there we go. Again, leave that little piece of tape on there. Put this where you want it. Push your bowl down, and that bowl isn't going anywhere for you. So let's do some cooking. This is a regular whisk, except that you're going to see it has an enlarged hand. Many of your people will be able to close their hands like this, but not like this. Some of them can only close their hand this far. So this will usually work for a person who has some dexterity, 50% of their dexterity in their fingers. But if they don't, take a regular piece of foam. You know, this is the kind of noodle stuff, it's a regular swimming noodle. And I cut a hole in it. I mean, I just sliced it down the center because the center of it already was cut out. And it makes a perfect equipment. What you might want to do now, if I only have the ability to close my hand this much, I can still cook for myself. What you will want to do is put some tape around this to hold it in place for you. Now, we can stir this up as hard as we want, and it's not going to go anywhere. So let's do a little bit of that. Let's pour some stuff in here. And today we are making pumpkin spice, so stick around. Pumpkin spice cookies, I think we'll make them into. Got that? That was easy enough to do. So we have our ingredients now in the bowl, but let's stop for just a minute and re-paraphrase about the size of the spoons. You're going to have some people who have fine dexterity but no strength on their right hand or left hand side, so they can use this spoon. Another person will not be able to close their hand all the way down, and so a spoon like this will work. It's at a quarter grip. Our other person may need it with grips on it because they have no feeling in their hand and they can't feel it. So the grips on the side of this spoon, as you can see these grips here, plus it's rubberized, helps them to hold it. And then finally, your person who has the hardest time is a person who can only close their hand this much, and that's when you want to buy your noodle, slice it, slide it in here, and tape this closed. So now they, with this amount of a grip, can now be successful in stirring their ingredients. Okay, now we're ready to get some liquid in the bowl, and all we need for this liquid today is water. I pre-measured this, so I know it's going to be exactly right. And the next thing we're going to do is we got to get the egg in. Now with one hand, you've seen chefs on TV do this all the time, so I hope I can successfully do it for you now. They take the egg, and in order to break an egg with one hand, they very firmly push it against the edge and then pull it apart with their fingers. So here's hoping we can do it. There. Little bit of practice, you can learn to do that well. But what it takes, holding your egg, we have a clear surface here, give it a good whack. And then push it apart with your fingers. And you can break it every time with one hand, just like the professional chefs. Okay, so let's get this stirred up. And you just notice our bowl isn't going to go anywhere because we've got it Velcroed to the table. We can do this as hard and for as long as we need. And now our ingredients are ready to be poured into the pan and go into the oven.